First of all, just incredibly excited with this win, particularly coming off of the emotional win last week against James Madison. We spent a lot of time this week, or I spent a lot of time this week talking to the players about our mentality and keeping an aggressive mentality. I knew the kids were hearing a lot about potentially a letdown and how we won last week versus James Madison and what was the biggest win in the brief history of our program. So we talked a lot about the mentality going this week about being the hunter and not the hunted. And I was very pleased with how aggressive we were at the start of this game. I felt like we jumped out 11-0 and we were very aggressive on offense. Special teams, we ran the fake with DeMarco for the extra point. Defensively, was really pleased. So that was really important for us to start the game that way, particularly against an NFL caliber quarterback and a defense that was ranked number 2 in the league going into this game against the pass. So that part I was very, very pleased with. And but a couple of the real keys to this game were, number 1, yards after catch on offense. You know, when you have 373 yards passing and you're not pushing the ball down the field on a regular basis, there's certainly a lot of yards after the catch, and this was by far the best game we've ever had in terms of yards after the catch. And then in terms of our defense, I can't speak enough right now about how those kids are playing. I know the scoreboard says 28 points, but they returned a fumble for a touchdown, so take it down to 21. We did not convert on a fake punt that gave them a short field that they scored on. So I feel like for 3 weeks in a row now against Villanova, James Madison, and now Richmond, we have played very good football on defense, and we're doing it right now with 4 starters out. These kids are just relentless. I'm so proud of how they perform and how they prepare, and particularly with the fact that we've got a number of kids who were starters at the start of the year that are injured at this point. So overall, good win for the program, excited about it, and I'll take questions.
You never play a dull game here, it seems like here. And when they returned the fumble 96 yards, was a little bit of, not here we go again exactly, but a little too much excitement.
Yeah, that was absolutely a critical point in the football game, because I felt like, Bob, if we had scored there, we were going up 35-15, and it might have been a blowout. And one of the things I commented to Bob in the locker room after the game, when I was talking to him about adversity, because we're still so youthful in our program in terms of playing CAA football teams, that we were able to handle that adversity really well. That did not break our spirit. I can tell you this, our offensive players were exhausted, because not only did they run the play, but then they had to run 100 yards to chase them, and we were getting the ball back on the very next possession. So those kids were exhausted coming off the field, but I was really pleased with how we handled it. There's no question, Bob, that game could have turned into a 3 or 4 score game if we score there.
Do you feel you're in the playoffs?
I do. I feel like with this win, getting to 8 wins, that we are definitely deserving of being a playoff team. I feel like our performance all year, in 10 games now, our 2 losses have been games that we've led in the fourth quarter. So I feel like not only do we have quality wins, but we have quality losses, if you will. Losing to Delaware on the road, and then that game with Towson, excuse me. But based on the history of the CAA, the reputation of the CAA, generally 7 wins get you in the conversation, and 8 wins means that you're in. And at this point, what I talked to the players about after in the locker room, that that's down the road. We still have an opportunity to compete for a conference championship. With Maine losing today, Maine, New Hampshire, and Towson all have 1 loss now, and they still have, all of them have 2 games to play. So if we can find a way to go to Williamsburg and win next Saturday, we'll be done at 6-2 and in essence in the clubhouse well, everybody still has a week to play. That was the goal this summer. You know, all the kids have shirts that say, I have a shirt, everybody does, says in it to win it on the back, and that was the goal of the program, was to join the conference and to compete for the conference championship, and I believe we are making a very loud and clear statement that we're doing that right now.
Ronnie said that he had to deal with a lot of negative recruiting when he was coming out of Hofstra, with a lot of people telling him, why would you go to ODU? They're not going to win a game. And I'm quoting him when I say that. Why would you do that? What were you thinking when you were recruiting Cameron, and what was the message you tried to give him?
I was thinking he was really good, and we'd probably win some games if we got him. I mean, quite honestly, I won't bore you all with all the details of the story, but the reason Ronnie Cameron came here is because we had the best academic presentation for him. It certainly wasn't me, my coaching ability, or anything to do with that. It was all about how could he get his undergrad and his master's. So that's why Ronnie Cameron's here, and I'm happy he is.
Would you talk a little bit about the offensive approach today, especially since they seem to force you guys to take, you know, a lot of underneath stuff. You talked a lot about yards after catch, but
Right.
the way they played kind of created that.
Yeah, one of the things that we noticed in pregame that 3 of their starters weren't here. One of their corners, a safety, and a defensive lineman were injured last week in the Mass game, and you're talking about 2 very good secondary players. As I mentioned, they came into this game number 2 in the league in pass defense, and when you lose a corner and a safety, it makes it a little bit more challenging when you've got to cover the skill players that we have. And when Coach Scott and the offensive staff confirmed that those guys were out in pregame, it became a very aggressive approach in terms of passing the football and trying to get our skill guys in as many one-on-one situations as we could. And I'll go back to what I said in the opening statement, the yards after the catch today. We were able to create a lot of one-on-one situations and coverage, and there were a lot of short throws today that the kids were getting 10, 15, 20 yards after the catch, and I really think that was the difference in the game.
Aaron Evans said afterwards that, you know, yes, covering Trey Gray is a challenge, but he said covering the guys on my team in practice during the week is also a challenge. Can you speak to that, the fact that your DBs have to cover a pretty good assortment of receivers themselves?
Yeah, it's interesting Aaron said that too, because in my pregame speech today over at our building before we took the Monarch March, I told the kids that Richmond was passing the ball for 261 yards per week, and they had an NFL caliber quarterback, and they had a wide receiver who was clearly going to be a first-team All-American with his numbers. And then I told them our offense throws for 245 yards a week, which is pretty much similar, and they see that every single day, so this isn't anything new for them. And I wanted them to understand in the context of the point that I was making that our offense is really good, our defense is really good, and our kids practice hard, so it's not a whole lot different for them when they step on the field. And out of respect, Rich, for Trey Gray, we had a number of situations today where we doubled him. We played some over-under coverage where we put a man up on him and press, and then we had a safety over the top because he really is that good.
And yet, it was an under-over that got a pick. It was a flip, your safety coming down underneath.
Yeah, our safety, Paul, did a nice job breaking on the ball. And if I remember the whole scenario, Rich, I think we got Corp out of the pocket. I think we had him scrambling on that play, and that was a huge play by Paul, because at that point the game, you know, they were driving to tie it, and after that pick we get out and score. It was really, really good to get that interception.
Frank, were you guys getting frustrated about the fact that you couldn't get to court for a long time today?
Yeah, we were getting a little bit frustrated, but we knew that's because we have a great D-line. You know, they're good at pass rushing, so they kind of max protected to give them as much time as possible, because Coach is a pretty good quarterback, and he has some pretty good receivers. But we didn't get too frustrated. We knew at some point we were going to get to him.
What happened on the hit that knocked him out? What'd you do?
We called the blitz, and the line slid to Ronnie, and I came clean. I just took a shot.
Question?
Hey, Ronnie, a remark or two about, you guys seem to be in control and everything going your way, and next thing you know, it's 28-all. Just, kind of what's going through your mind and on the sidelines.
Yeah, like I said, we were up, and like I said, they got the fumble recovery for the touchdown. But we always have like a mentality, like put the fire out. These things happen. Unfortunate things happen that might be out of our control, might be in our control. So we just got to play. Like I said, we understood at that point it was 28-28, 12 minutes. I was telling the guys on the defense it's a 12-minute game from here on in. How are we going to finish this game? We let up a certain amount of points, but it's all about what's the score when it's 0-0-0. So I told our defense, let's just come out, finish this game off the right way. So I guess that's what we'll be at the point right now, 8-2.
When, for any of you, when the fumble was returned 96 yards, it sort of took the air out of the stadium. What did it do on your sideline?
So, yeah, you got it?
It didn't really have a big effect on the sideline. I mean, we're a pretty poised team, and Coach Watt always tells us to play the next play. Defensively, we just knew we had to go out there for a block team. There wasn't no miscommunication, nothing like that on the sideline. We just knew the play went their way, and we just had to play the next play.
Hey, Reed, would you talk a little bit about just sort of the value of patience today on offense? Because they didn't seem to give you all too many big plays, and you had to kind of slowly work your way down the field quite a bit.
Yeah, our coach tells us like to take the play, don't make one play too big, don't do too much, just pitch and catch. And we had a lot of poise on offense today, as we usually do, and I think we did pretty good, executed.
Your number hasn't been called a whole lot in the last couple of weeks. Did you, in fact, you had a 23-game catch run broken at Villanova. So were you kind of wondering if the game was going to come back to you at any point?
Honestly, yes. I was just waiting my time, and how I like our offense. Anybody can get off. It's not just one person. We have that one superstar. We have a bunch of receivers that get off. You don't never know when it's going to be your day, and as a receiver, you go out there thinking it's going to be your day every day. So just being patient, and the ball got thrown to me, and I just made the plays.
Ronnie, as a senior, do you have any other reflections today?
It's just, it's kind of crazy. I was just telling some of my teammates, when I was getting recruited to come here to Old Dominion a couple of years ago, every other team, everyone I spoke to was like, oh, you go down to Old Dominion, you guys won't win a game, you guys won't do this, you guys won't do that, and there's pretty much a bunch of people telling me, reasons why I shouldn't, and then, and at the end of the day, I love the fact that I made the decision I made, like Coach Rod and their staff recruited me to come here, and I trusted them, and they trusted me, and then, to be at the point where today, and then to be able to run out on that field before the game and get a standing ovation, having 20,000 people care about the things you do, and the things we do as a team. And since I've been here, I've been playing for my team, and they did the same for me. So it was a very special feeling today.
Had you been a part of negative recruiting prior to that? When you were going at Hofstra, did you hear a whole lot of negative recruiting? Or was that the first time when you were coming out of Hofstra?
Well, I mean, that's always a part of recruiting, coaches bashing other teams and things like that. But, and maybe not to the extent, but, when everyone, like I said, going through the whole recruiting process, everyone counting Old Dominion out before they even got a chance to see them. And then, but I feel like I'm glad I had the faith in this program and in Coach Wild and the staff and the rest of my team to put us in the position we are in now.
Do any of you allow yourselves to think about the playoffs now?
No, we're trying to get November 12th on. Yeah. So right now we just want to enjoy this tonight. Come back tomorrow, work hard, and focus on William & Mary.
Yes, sir.
Is that a big? William & Mary would be a big game for you no matter what.
Yes.
The next game is always a big game.
Huh?
Yeah, I mean, next game is always a big game, and it's not no like extra hype going into it. Like I said, we played them last year, and it was a tough game that came down to the finish. And like I said, we have to just they're between us and what we want. We want to be 9-2. We want to finish the season on a good note in the regular season. So and that's our next opponent. So they are the biggest opponent.
Questions?
Taylor, can you speak about the offensive approach you guys tried to take with the short passing game? Well, they came out on a different defense of what we saw on film, and we just adjusted to it really well. They gave us the quick stuff, so we just took what they gave us, and we adjusted during the game when they changed the 3 front, 4 front. So I think we did a pretty well job.
How different was what they showed you from what you saw on film?
Well, they usually have corners going back to safety positions, but today they played a straight cover 2. You know, they just showed a really basic look of what we didn't see on film, and we adjusted really well. We've already seen it through Towson and some other teams, and I think we adjusted pretty well.
Could you just talk about the value of just patience, because you guys have, through the year, you guys have been able to hit a lot of big plays, and today it was, you know, just more a, you know, just kind of more progression.
Well, our offense is that explosive offense. You know, when a big play can happen out of nowhere, we have a bunch of athletes at receiver. We have a good line to give them time, and you know, we have our offense is explosive. But today we just took what they gave us, and we just kept on getting the tempo going.
Did you get greedy on the ball that you fumbled?
Yes, I should have just got down. I tried to do too much, and after I fumbled, I just, you know, went back to the sideline. Coach Wickham did a really well job of calming me down, and just next possession.
What does he say to calm you down in a circumstance like that?
Just says everyone, you know, everyone fumbles, everyone throws picks, everyone gets sacked. You just gotta shake it off. The next play is the biggest play, like Coach Butler says all the time. And you know, he did a really well job of getting my mind off of it.
Did you see the goal line?
I don't know. Honestly, when I was going down and I felt the ball pop out, I was like, crap. So I looked back and person white was running, and I said, oh, worst feeling.
I don't know if you were aware, but Reed caught 12 passes today. Do you owe him money?
Rephrase.
Well, he did what their defense was showing is they just gave him the hitch and the slants all the time. So, you know, we just took them, get 5 yards, easy 5 yards, and we just kept going with it.
Any other questions for the players?
The Richmond guys said that your short pass game is basically like a really good run game. Are you married to that? That, yeah, we'll take what we get.
Heck yeah, I mean, 5 yards just for dumping it out there and let the runners run, it's awesome. You know, just throwing a hitch to Larry and he runs 30 yards downfield, that's a 35-yard pass for me, but it's only really a 5-yard pass. And